My name is Hannah Williams. I am 47 years old. I have been a full-time housewife for over 20 years. I am married to my husband, Michael, and together we have 3 wonderful children whom I love deeply. What I am about to share is not an ordinary story. It completely changed my life, and I truly believe it can change yours too, if you are open to hearing it. This is my testimony of what happened when I died for 12 minutes and came face to face with Jesus Christ. During that time, He revealed something very important to me: why we must never say 3 specific words when we pray. It happened on a Tuesday morning in March 2023. I was doing my usual routine, just like every other day. I was in the kitchen preparing breakfast for my family while quietly saying my morning prayers. Everything felt normal at first. But that morning, something went terribly wrong. For several weeks, I had been suffering from a serious kidney infection. Even though I was very sick, I kept pushing myself, continuing to take care of my family as I always had. The doctors had prescribed antibiotics, but without anyone realizing it, the infection had already spread into my bloodstream. As I stood there in the kitchen, praying over the meal I was preparing, my body suddenly gave up. I collapsed without warning. My husband later told me that he found me lying unconscious on the floor. By the time the paramedics arrived, I had no pulse. I was gone. What happened after that changed everything I thought I knew about prayer, about God, and about how we speak to heaven. Suddenly, I found myself standing in a place that I can only describe as pure light. It wasn't a harsh or blinding light. Instead, it was warm, peaceful, and overflowing with love, more love than I had ever felt in my entire life. And then I saw Him. Jesus Christ was walking toward me. I knew instantly that it was Him. Not because of His appearance, but because of the powerful presence of love, peace, and authority that surrounded Him. Jesus looked at me with deep compassion and said, "Hannah, my child, it is not yet your time. But I have brought you here because there is something very important you must understand and share with my people when you return." Overwhelmed by His presence, I fell to my knees. My heart was racing, and tears filled my eyes. I began to speak and said, "Lord, I am unworthy to be in your presence. If it is your will, please forgive me for all my sins. Maybe I don't deserve to be here." Jesus gently lifted my chin so that I could look at Him. His voice was calm but firm as He said, "Stop, my daughter. Listen to what you are saying. You have just spoken the 3 words that have been blocking your prayers, and the prayers of millions of my children. These words have been silencing heaven and stopping my blessings from reaching you." I was confused and shocked. I honestly thought I was being humble and respectful. But Jesus continued speaking, "Hannah, what I am about to tell you will change not only your prayer life, but the prayer life of everyone you share this message with." He said, "There are 3 words my children often use in prayer that deeply grieve my heart and give the enemy power over their spiritual lives. These words sound harmless and even spiritual, but they carry poison. They destroy spiritual authority." As He spoke, His words went straight into my heart like nothing I had ever heard before. Jesus said, "The first word you must never say in prayer is, 'if.' When you pray and say, 'Lord, if you want to heal me,' or, 'if it is your will,' or, 'if you hear me,' you are not showing humility. You are showing doubt. You are treating prayer like a gamble instead of coming to your Father with confidence." As He said this, I remembered all the times I had prayed that exact way, and my heart felt heavy with regret. Jesus continued, "Do you remember when I prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane?" I answered, "Yes, Lord." He said, "I said, 'If it is possible, let this cup pass from me,' but I immediately followed it with, 'Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done.'" I was not doubting the Father's power. I was surrendering to His perfect plan. But many of my children use "if" as a way to escape faith. Then Jesus showed me a vision of myself praying over the years. I saw how many times I had used that word. He said, "Hannah, when you say 'if' in prayer, it is like a soldier going into battle while doubting if his weapon will work. You defeat yourself before the battle even begins." He reminded me of James chapter 1 verses 6 to 7, explaining, "My word says clearly that whoever asks must ask in faith without doubt. The one who doubts is like a wave tossed by the sea. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord." The word, "if," creates a gap in faith, and wherever there is a gap, the enemy finds a way in. Jesus looked at me with so much love and said, I taught my disciples to pray with authority. In John chapter 14 verse 13, I said, whatever you ask in my name, that I will do. There is no if there, Hannah. There is certainty. There is confidence. There is faith. He said, when you pray, Lord, I receive the healing you already provided for me through the cross, that is mountain-moving faith. Then Jesus revealed the second dangerous word. He said, the second word that must never be in your prayers is, maybe. This word is even more dangerous than if, because it pretends to be humility, but it actually shows a heart that does not truly know the Father. I began thinking about all the times I had said, maybe God will answer me. Maybe He hears me. Maybe He will forgive me. Suddenly, I realized how much those words had weakened my faith without me realizing it. Jesus explained, when you pray using maybe, you forget that I am the same yesterday, today, and forever, just as Hebrews chapter 13 verse 8 says. You treat the Father as unreliable, as if His promises might fail. He said, the enemy loves it when you pray with maybe, because a prayer filled with maybe doesn't even reach God's throne. He then showed me another vision. I saw prayers rising like incense, but prayers filled with maybe faded away before reaching heaven, like smoke blown away by the wind. Jesus said, when I said in Mark chapter 9 verse 23, all things are possible to him who believes, I was not talking about maybe. I was talking about absolute faith. Then he said something that touched my heart deeply. Imagine if one of your children came to you and said, Mom, maybe you love me. Maybe you'll feed me today. That would break your heart. That's what many of my children do to the Father every day when they pray. Then came the third word, and this one hit me the hardest. Jesus said, the third word you must never say in prayer is, unworthy. He explained, this word sounds humble, but it is a dangerous trap. It destroys faith and rejects the work I finished on the cross. I was completely stunned. Jesus said, Hannah, every time you call yourself unworthy, you are not being humble. You are agreeing with Satan, the accuser of the brethren. He reminded me of Revelation chapter 12 verse 10, which says that Satan accuses God's children day and night. When you say, I am unworthy, you repeat his lies instead of standing in the victory I already won for you. He continued, there is a difference between true repentance and self-condemnation. The Father wants a humble heart, but He also wants a heart that believes it has been cleansed by my blood. Romans chapter 8 verse 1 says there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Jesus showed me the cross, and I finally understood the depth of His sacrifice. He said, Hebrews chapter 10 verse 10 declares that you have been made holy through the offering of my body once and for all. Then He looked at me and said, you may have failed. You may be broken, but if you are in me, you are not unworthy. You are loved. You are my daughter. You are an heir of God and a citizen of heaven. I wept deeply as I realized how many years I had unknowingly rejected His sacrifice by calling myself unworthy. Jesus gently comforted me and said, when you pray, come with reverence, but also with confidence, like a loved child coming to their father. He said, instead of saying, I am unworthy, say, Father, thank you that through Christ I have been made worthy, not by my works, but by the blood of the Lamb. Finally, Jesus explained why these words are so dangerous in the spiritual realm. Hannah, he said, prayer is spiritual warfare. Remember Daniel chapter 10. His prayer was heard from the first day, but the answer was delayed because of spiritual battles. He continued, your words carry power in both heaven and hell. The enemy does not stop you from praying, he tries to make your prayers ineffective. If, maybe, and unworthy are his favorite tools because they weaken faith from your own mouth. Jesus ended by reminding me of Mark chapter 11 verse 24, saying, when you pray, believe that you receive, and you will have it. This is the secret, absolute faith, not faith mixed with doubt or self-sabotaging words. Then Jesus began to teach me how to pray the right way. He explained that instead of saying, Lord, if you want to heal me, I should say, Lord, I receive the healing you have already given me through your stripes. Instead of saying, maybe God will set me free, he told me to declare, Lord, I take hold of the freedom you have already promised me. He said that instead of saying, I am unworthy, I should pray, Father, I come boldly to your throne because Christ has made me worthy. Jesus then showed me more scriptures to support this truth. He first quoted 1 John chapter 5 verses 14 to 15, which says that this is the confidence we have in him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if we know that he hears us, then we also know that we already have the things we have asked of him. Jesus looked at me and said, "Do you see, Hannah? This is confidence." He said, "This is what prayer with faith looks like. There is no space for, if, maybe, or, I am unworthy. There is only confidence in the will of a loving Father who cares deeply for his children." Jesus also shared Hebrews chapter 4 verse 16 with me, which says, "Let us come boldly to the throne of grace, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in times of need." He stressed the word boldly and said, "Hannah, not afraid, not doubting, not putting yourself down, but boldly, like my beloved daughter." As we continued talking, Jesus revealed to me how much damage these 3 words have caused in prayers throughout history. He asked, "How many blessings have been delayed because my children prayed with doubt? How many miracles have been pushed back because they came to the Father like beggars instead of like loved children? How many breakthroughs were missed because they canceled their own prayers with these words?" Jesus then explained the difference between true humility and false humility. He said true humility honors the Father's holiness and recognizes your need for me, but it also accepts what I have already done for you. False humility, on the other hand, rejects my finished work and keeps you living in defeat. He said, "I want you to come to the Father with respect, yes, but also with confidence, confidence that comes from knowing you are fully loved and completely accepted in me." Jesus then taught me about spiritual authority and pointed me to Luke chapter 10 verse 19, where he says that he has given us authority over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall harm us. He explained, "This authority belongs to all my children, but it only works through prayers filled with faith, not prayers filled with doubt." Jesus addressed some common misunderstandings. He said many people think doubt shows humility before God, but in truth, it shows they do not really understand the Father's character. The Father is not unpredictable or unreliable. He quoted Numbers chapter 23 verse 19, which says that God is not a man that he should lie. If he speaks, he will act. If he promises, he will fulfill it. Jesus continued by saying that some people believe calling themselves unworthy shows respect, but in reality, it shows they do not understand how complete his sacrifice truly is. He said, "When I cried out, 'It is finished,' on the cross, I meant it. Redemption was fully completed. You were not trying to become worthy, you were already made worthy through my blood." Jesus then allowed me to see into the spiritual realm during prayer. I watched as prayers filled with faith shot straight up to heaven like arrows, while prayers full of doubt scattered and lost their strength. He said, "Your words have power, Hannah." Proverbs chapter 18 verse 21 tells us that life and death are in the power of the tongue. When you speak doubt, you create doubt. When you speak faith, you create room for miracles. He also showed me that these 3 words don't just affect individual prayers, but entire churches and communities. When leaders teach people to pray with doubt, they create a culture of spiritual weakness. But when believers learn to pray with faith and confidence, they become strong witnesses of my kingdom. Jesus emphasized how important it is to understand our identity in him. He said, "Hannah, you are not a spiritual beggar hoping God notices you. You are a daughter of the King, a joint heir with me, and part of a royal priesthood. Your prayers should reflect who you are." He quoted Ephesians chapter 2 verse 6, explaining that we are seated together with him in heavenly places. Then he asked, "If you are seated with me, why would you pray as if you are unworthy to come before the Father?" As our conversation went on, Jesus addressed the fear many people have about praying with confidence. He said some think confident prayer is prideful, but he explained that it is actually more disrespectful to believe his sacrifice was not enough to give access to the Father. He reminded me that the veil was torn from top to bottom so we could come boldly into God's presence. Jesus also explained the difference between praying according to God's will and praying with doubt. Praying according to his will does not mean being unsure that he hears you. It means aligning your heart with his heart and praying from that place of agreement. When you truly know the Father and his promises, you can pray with full confidence. Jesus reminded me of his words in John chapter 15. 7, where he said that if we remain in him and his words remain in us, we can ask what we desire and it will be done. He explained that when his words live in us, our desires begin to match the Father's will, and that's why we can pray without fear or hesitation. Jesus also taught me the importance of thanksgiving in prayer. He said instead of coming to God unsure of whether he hears you, begin by thanking him for what he has already done. Thank him because he listens. Thank him because he loves you. Thank him because his plans for you are good. This creates a strong atmosphere of faith right from the start. He quoted Philippians chapter 4 verses 6 to 7, which says not to be anxious about anything, but to pray about everything with thanksgiving, and God's peace will guard your heart and mind. As our time together was coming to an end, Jesus gave me a final instruction. He said, "Hannah, when you return, you must share this message with my people. Tell them I am calling them to deeper prayer, a stronger identity in me, and a more powerful way of talking with the Father." He said too many believers are living below what I have already given them. They have authority but pray like victims. They have been made righteous but pray like sinners. They have been adopted as sons and daughters but pray like orphans. Jesus finished by saying, "The prayer that moves heaven is the prayer that comes from faith, not doubt. It comes from someone who knows who they are in me and understands the Father's heart." When my people pray this way, the supernatural will become normal in their lives. Then Jesus told me it was time to go back. He said, "Hannah, you will remember everything we talked about. Share this message boldly, and watch how I change the prayer lives of my people. And always remember, pray as the daughter you are, not as a beggar you were never meant to be." Suddenly, I woke up in a hospital room, surrounded by my family and doctors who were amazed that I had come back to life after being dead for 12 minutes. But I knew my purpose. I had been given a mission. I had to tell others what Jesus had shown me about the 3 words that have been blocking so many prayers. Since that day, my prayer life has completely changed, and I have witnessed miracle after miracle as I now pray with the faith and confidence Jesus taught me. And today, I am sharing this testimony with you because Jesus wants his people to walk fully in everything he has already given us through his sacrifice on the cross.